I feel like Bowling for Soup played the punk band in like 10 different movies.
Well, they were like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, but just like cranked a little bit one direction.
Yes, exactly.
This song has really, really wild dated reference points too.
Yeah.
As far as the lyrics go.
But that sentiment at the end of being like all the stuff that you hated about high school and thought was so important and unique to that era of your life, the pettiness, the superficiality, the feeling that there is a conforming overclass and you are part of the unconforming underclass. Yeah, that's the entirety of life. And it never ends. And it made me think about like maybe the classic Blink-182 line of nobody likes you when you're 23. And then thinking about now also being a little older, how weird that line is, because it's like you're not a teenager, but you're not like an adult enough for people to respect you. But when you're listening to the song when you're like 14, it sounds like a joke that it's so old.
But also kind of like a curse in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when when the first time I heard that song, I was probably like, I don't know, 12, like 11 or 12. Yeah. And hearing nobody likes you when you're 23, it was plausible to me. I'm like, I don't know, sure. That time sounds like it sucks for everybody.
Yeah.
But then when I actually was 23, because like people make those jokes when you like turn 23, I'm like, it's kind of true. I'm useless right now. Like I'm out of school. I have no purpose. I'm desperately trying to find one, and I'm obnoxious as fuck. Like I still suck. Yeah.
But just that sense of the perpetual adolescence that you think that you're never going to escape, like literally never going to get out of when you are a teen or a child or an actual adolescent, and then when you actually physically leave that era of your life, realizing that even though you did escape it, it will never escape you.
Yes.
No doubt.
Also, I mean, just thinking one of the, big deep thoughts I had about music a while ago was just thinking about how like when I was a young dude, music was stuff I listened to while I thought about what I was eventually going to like do with my life. And then you get older and then you actually maybe like do stuff while you listen to music. Like you work, God forbid, or like you're like at a party, like hanging out with people. But the feeling of like stasis combined with like hope and ambition, I think is like the pop punk thing of being like, I'm gonna walk around and like look at shit because I have nothing, like I don't have a driver's license, or like I don't have a car, or like I don't really have like consistent friends. Like that feeling of pop punk, I feel like is all over this playlist in like weird different ways. And that's the stuff that the older I get, the more like poignant it feels and the more important it is to like hold on to, because otherwise I'll just completely forget what it feels like to be a young dude. You know?
Yeah, I mean there's a reason why like, boomers go to Springsteen shows or whatever. I think it's like a similar thing that you can kind of thread through all of rock and roll history, essentially. Yep. And that's why it's hard to make rock music and mature, because essentially, like, in order for it to be good, you still have to be like connected to some teenage feeling, and trying to figure out how to navigate that as a songwriter or something is like an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Because it really is like all good. Most of the best rock music to me is like juvenile in some way.
Yes.
Yeah. And attempts to make it, a mature, thoughtful, end up often veering into the realm of corniness or like prog or something, which can also be very good. But no
doubt.
But yeah, I think the thing that you're trying to capture, that energeticness as energeticness as a genre onto itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially now, and I think that is one of the things that makes this interesting as you're trying to wrestle with what it means to be pop punk in like 2020, is that a lot of music right now is, as we've said on the show before, like very languid.
Kind of chill and sad,
like terminally chill and sad, and like not even like regardless of tempo, just kind of about loneliness or isolation, or so many songs about not wanting to be at parties that you're at.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And so the very presence of youthful, juvenile aggressiveness or a sense of rebellion can, at least right now, be kind of given a genre onto itself.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, this is less to do with pop punk, but that's why when you see like certain like hardcore tours that I've seen happen over the past year or so, they're really exciting to me. And you have like kind of a noisy band, like a straight kind of mosh hardcore band, and maybe something that's almost like digital hardcore on the same bill. And I think it's just because aggression has been like there's aggressive music is pretty niche now. So when
Yeah.
you kind of have to put together a diverse package sometimes in order to make it work. And I think that's exciting though. If people have to like kind of collaborate and different worlds have to collide to make something cool, to me that's kind of like fertile zone for some interesting music.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's definitely a demand for that. Yeah, I think we were definitely talking about it when we were streaming last night, and I think we've talked about it more on the show. But we were watching that Travis Scott documentary that came out, and it profiles a lot like his fans' response to his music. And the kids in those Travis Scott shows like are desperate to mosh to something,
Yeah.
anything. And I think a lot of Travis Scott's music is at least pretty good. But it is always funny to me to see these kids just like fucking backflipping and stage diving and tearing their clothes apart and like smashing their heads against walls to the music of Travis Scott, which is largely like him coming up on stage and being like, I got up kind of late. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a date. It's like, again, more in that like languid, like my life's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I do dope shit.
Yeah.
Might be on a private plane later. And like it cuts back to the kids like just beating the shit out of each other.
Backflipping off each other.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just does speak to that demand. And I think that that's what a lot of the like harder SoundCloud rap was speaking to. It was just like, it doesn't really matter what the music is, just like make it hard and fast.
Yeah, and I think that, the weird for the past few years, it's kind of been like there's no rules, and as long as there's like some hard 808 drums under it, you can sample.
Mhm.
You can sample like an emo band or something. It doesn't really matter.
Or the not Prince, the Sting like beautiful guitar line in that Juice WRLD song.
Yeah, totally, and it's cool. I think. And yeah, I tried to touch on that as much as possible in the playlist, but I also tried to touch on just like, rock is so niche, and within those niches, there's all these absurd, like smaller niches. So like with pop punk, there's all of these a million different like micro strains of pop punk
Yes.
with their own weird codes, but it all pretty much like the recording quality is probably the only difference between a lot of these bands.
Yeah. Between
Yeah.
like Blink and Tyvek or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, the dream is that some kid stumbles onto some stuff on this that
Yeah.
doesn't like alienate them.